For the West Virginia defense to be good in 2026, it's going to hinge on a couple players specifically, a couple freshmen being really good really early, according to a West Virginia coach I just got done talking to.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, baby. We're talking Mountaineer football tonight, and I appreciate you guys for being here as we dive straight in. I didn't mean to be as late as I was, but technical difficulties, of course, got in the way. I had to restart the computer, the whole nine again. So apologies there, but here we are. So this one's going to be brought to you by our friends, and we love our friends at Game Time. Right now with Game Time, if you want to, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase where the terms do apply. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're talking about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day, and we are talking about them every single day. So we got a lot to get to here, obviously. I think in the segment 2, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about another position group on West Virginia's team. Well, I don't know, offense or defense. I haven't even really decided yet. We'll talk about one of them. There's a couple that I have in my head that I would like to talk about. That are they stronger or weaker, right? We've only got a couple left that we haven't done yet. We're going to do that. But first, obviously, today was an interesting day for me because, speaking to a couple people, speaking to a West Virginia coach that coaches on defense about this West Virginia team is, because I have some fear and some worry about the defense, right? We got to clear something up about that because there are two players who would automatically, impact this defense in such a way that if they were able to come along quickly enough that this team could really soar on defense. But, we have to start with Geimere Latimer and Andrew Powdrell first. I'll get there why. I have gone into this, and I didn't really know until earlier today when I read a Skylar Callahan article about this. Skylar Callahan was pointing out that Geimere Latimer and Andrew Powdrell are both listed at nickel and safety and nickel and Sam, linebacker, a piece. That's not corner. That's what they're listed at as on the roster. Geimere Latimer played corner in this defense at Jack State. He played nickel at Wisconsin, and Andrew Powdrell played corner at UNLV. And so these were the guys I thought were going to be corner for West Virginia this year. So then you're telling me we've got Chams Diagne, however you say it, Damon Allen and Rashawn Reynolds are the three that you're really counting on. Two junior college guys and a lower level player that you brought up. And maybe they're good. They're all 6'3". So they do have that in common with one another. So, obviously I started reaching out to people to try to figure out what the heck's going on about, regarding this. I was kind of surprised that at least Powdrell wasn't playing corner, but when I go back in the file cabinets of my mind, I've got different things stored. I remember people saying listen, West Virginia's making a commitment to corners over 6'1" or 6'2" or whatever it is. They got Rashawn because that's back when they picked up these JUCO guys. They were both 6'3". Then they went out and got a guy in the portal that was 6'3". And you're like, okay, this is the new direction. They're going to get really tall corners, really long corners, and that's what they're going to do. So I thought, okay, well, maybe that's the route then, and if that's the case, that means obviously Geimere Latimer and Powdrell are going to be playing closer to the line of scrimmage, which would be great. I think they're both going to be great in those positions. But I didn't know who was going to play corner, right? And so I started reaching out, and that's when I got a hold of a coach today. And basically what I was told was there are two freshmen who are going to decide how high this defense can climb, right? And that is Matt Sieg and that's Vincent Smith. Those two right there. And they are expected to play and play early. Zach Alley is not moving Latimer and Powdrell inside for fun. Nickel and Sam are really trust positions in this defense. If you bust there, the defense collapses. So the staff put their most physical and mentally reliable DBs on the inside, which makes all the sense in the world. If you'll remember when I had Teddy Lehman on here the other day from Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Butkus Award winner, he was saying how much easier it is to play outside corner in college football. He said you could just plug a guy in there and really doesn't have to know much except a couple coverages, right? Inside, totally different animal altogether. So, if you played inside before or if you played defense at college football level before, then you can kind of figure it out easier, right? And I think West Virginia is kind of hoping that'll happen with these two because it's going to be interesting. I really do. Trying to figure out where I want to start with who I want to start because both these guys I think are equally important. Like I'm not trying to put one in importance over the other. I think they're both going to play. You know what I mean? But we're going to start with Vincent Smith, I think, because we need corner help more than we need safety help. And I do think Sieg is going to play a lot and play probably, I don't know when, you know what I mean? Like I'd hesitate to know, like, I don't know everything, but I do think that these two are going to be the reason that this defense either climbs or doesn't climb. So obviously Damon Allen, Rashawn Reynolds, and Chams Diagne are going to be monster reasons as well. But if you look at Vincent Smith, he's 6'2", he's 200 pounds, and he plays, at Carl Sandburg there in Illinois, which is a pretty big-time program. He was a 4-star pickup for West Virginia, one of the only other 4 stars that we haven't. Actually, he's probably the 4-star we don't talk about enough, because they don't need him to be elite, but they need him to be good and able to play. If he can line up on the boundary and survive as a freshman, the entire secondary finally would look much more serviceable because then I think you've got 4 guys then. You know what I mean? This is kind of like roster math too. Like it makes a lot of sense when you're looking at it. And if you look at his strengths on the field, he's a legit boundary guy. He's not a slot body. He's 6'2", 200. Really physical at the line of scrimmage. We're going to play a little tape from him. He's comfortable playing outside leverage as well. So, that means he can do what he wants out there. And he's a willing tackler, which is really good. You'll see on multiple occasions where he does that. I think as far as usage goes, he can be used as a matchup corner. He's not somebody you need to hide in your coverages. And I think he's going to be pretty good and in the rotation. I don't know if he'll start right away, but I do know that we need him to be able to play because based on who we brought in, that's just a fact. That's just the numbers. So his development's going to have to be accelerated because the roster demands it. So I would say look for him to be somebody that West Virginia uses early and often, especially by, I would say, mid-season. See where he's at. Is he a starter? Is he playing a lot by mid-season? Because that's going to be interesting. Hopefully, because, that way Latimer can stay inside. The defense will keep its structure. Because Latimer is really good in that role. And I think he'll be, even though he didn't play it a ton at Wisconsin. I mean, he played at Wisconsin last year, but, in this defense, I think it fits him so much better. So worst case scenario, they have to move Latimer outside and this doesn't work out as well. And that means somebody else will have to step up on the inside, which they do have multiple guys for nickel. I know, like Powdrell's another one. So, I think that this is going to be a situation where you have to ask yourself, can Vincent Smith play fast without thinking? If yes, this defense works for sure, I think. I mean, well, at least the back end is going to be much better shape because, like I said, speaking with the coach today, they believe that he can be. They believe he's a guy that can play early. There's a reason that they made the pickups that they did. Obviously, they would have, if they felt like they only had 3 corners, they would have invested heavily into probably another corner, right? Like, it's just simple. So you just have to look at the decisions they're making, and then that kind of leaves you with what is left on the table. Smith isn't the only freshman that the defense needs, though, because the staff has made it clear if this unit is going to reach its ceiling, someone has to impact the back end, and that's going to be Matt Sieg. But let's get to Vincent Smith first. We'll look at some tape on him. He's got some interesting stuff here, and I actually haven't broken him down on the show yet. So this will be an interesting kind of dynamic here. But, obviously that's Matt Sieg. Here's Vincent Smith. And he, like I said, he's a big, long, athletic corner that really fits what they want to do. And like I said, his size and strength and all that really make a difference. You can put him on an island, as you can see here, and he's got really great closing speed whenever he can, maybe if a guy's got a step on him or whatever, and that length really helps him catch up as well. I love this hit on the blitz right here. You look at the speed catching up. Boom, nice little strip. There he is there up top of your screen there. And a guy's trying to come over in a post, and he just breaks that thing up, breaks it right up. Look at him here, and he's going to high point this ball and knock it away. Nice job. Another pass break up here on the RPO. Looks similar to the one from earlier. Kind of almost looks exactly the same. Here's another RPO pass breakup. As you can see, he starts to retreat a little. And that guy's quick that he was guarding. Holy crap. Here he comes with a strip fumble. Nice job. I like to see it when they rip him out like that. Absolutely. And then, this is another cool play from him. This is that motor, man. Watch the pursuit here. His guy comes around on an end around, and he makes it there and makes the play. Here he is in a tackle for loss scenario, breaks off of his guy. See, that's a smart play by him. And then here you go. Here he is on that island, right? Just absolutely doing well. And you'll see on a couple of these, he really gets his hands on the receiver and jars them. He can be very physical, and he's going to have to be if he's going to play at West Virginia. Like this right here, when this guy gets his release, you see how he doesn't even put his hands on him until right around there. I mean, it's impressive, but this play here is what I like to see. Watch him get physical here. Bam! Knock him off his route. Reroute him, no chance. Right? So, I think he's got a chance to be really good. He's got other highlights as well that are impressive, and I think, just like I said, speaking to the guy that I spoke to today, who would know for sure, this is going to be a big key to the defense this year. Can he do it? And I think he can. I don't know if he'll start. I don't think he'll start right away. I mean, he could. He's got the talent, but I do think he'll be in the rotation by mid-year for sure. It really depends on a lot of factors, right? Like, is he going to come in and get the functional strength in the next 6 months to play in the Big 12? Because you could certainly get stronger before the year if you do it right, and all that kind of stuff. So the improvement should be pretty good from here until the first start for him. So we'll go to break on that note. We'll talk about Matt Sieg next and exactly why he needs to be really good as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
And of course, in segment 2, we crack open this do, mostly because, like most of you guys, I'm snowed in. Yeah, it's a wild scenario here. We're snowed in bad. Roads are totally covered. I haven't been able to get out of my house for over 2 weeks now. I mean, I've gotten out, but it's been painful to do so. I don't know, man. It's where I can't wait till this all melts. It's like, okay, I've had way more than enough now. I didn't even want it to begin with. All right, let's move on here. Matt Sieg, what can you say about this guy, man? You flip him from, you keep him from Notre Dame, you keep him from Penn State, and he's one of the great. I don't know if you've looked into this, but you could make a case for Matt Sieg being the greatest player in his region's history. Like, he had that kind of career, offensively and defensively, for Fort Cherry, Pennsylvania. Smaller school, but he matters, man. He's going to play offense too, but I think he matters because his defense is where he's really the best. And my opinion, but like, we need his instincts, we need his range, and we need his ball skills on the back end. This is an athlete that's going to play safety in this defense that's really good, man. I think his defensive reps will be prioritized from Rich Rod's perspective, unless it gets really effed up on offense, which I don't think it will this year. So hopefully his mental reps come on defense first. He's got really just natural ball skills. He can do it all. One-handed catches, the whole nine. He's instinctive. He cuts great angles. He's comfortable with vision, as far as the quarterback goes. Whenever he was playing safety, like, he knows what quarterbacks want to do because he was a quarterback. And he'll lay the wood to people in space. Here's the truth. Sieg can play offense. Sieg might play offense, but he's being developed as a safety first. We've all heard that. And if he plays in 2026, I think it's going to be because he's already earned trust on defense. And I think he'll be an early contributor in dime packages, sub looks on special teams. And, I think he could be on the path to becoming a true back end racer and a matchup piece versus athletic tight ends and slots. He knows what it looks like, and he knows what they want to do. So that's going to help as well. He's going to be multi-package safety by midseason, I would imagine. And that raises the defensive ceiling as well, because he's potentially our best safety by next year. So obviously you want to allow for more aggressive coverage calls so that he can get used to it, but it's going to be difficult. The learning curve is going to slow him down probably a little. And, I don't think he'll be delayed till year 2, but I do think that, they're going to ease him in, right? I don't think, if he's sitting out there as a starter day 1, we probably got a couple issues, only because, not because he's not talented enough. I just, to be able to play safety, start safety in the Big 12 day 1 in your freshman year is like, it'd be an impressive thing to see if he did that. There's very few people that can do that. It does happen. So he's going to be a guy that obviously, if you look at him on film, he's got length at the catch point. He's really, really experienced versus real receivers. He's a very functional tackler. I think at the end of the day, he'll be a starting, you know, safety at some point by next year. I do believe that. So let's look at his tape really quick and kind of get a feel for what Sieg looks like, because 56 games, 49 wins, 162 tackles, 12 interceptions, 3 pick sixes. I mean, just an insane career this guy had. And that's before you add the billion yards on offense that he had. Great play there. That was made by the pass rush, but you can see he's just such an easy gliding athlete. He makes it all look so easy. And that's what comes across on film over and over again. You want to lay the wood to somebody, he can do that too. Watch this hit. Boom! How about I just knock you totally unconscious really quick? Thank you. Come again. You want me to come off the edge and get you a safety? Oh yeah, I can do that. Great instincts. And he just does everything so well. Watch him come across the middle here and just the great speed to close. I mean, it's so impressive. It really is. This is a guy, here he is playing on the Steelers field and in coverage, and watch him just, really great angle and the back pedal on that play. Just a great job, man. Not getting too overzealous. The lights weren't too big for him. You love to see that for sure. Once again in coverage, you'll see nice pick from him. And he is off to the races again. And you'll see subtly he reaches blocks very well here and cuts it inside for the touchdown. So that's another great play by him. There we are in the snow. Once again, he pulls around here, defeats a block and makes the tackle. And that's just kind of what he did, man. He was the everything boy for their squad. He was the heartbeat of their team. Here he is playing corner on a play and looking excellent at it. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being good at corner, to be honest with you. He's that kind of athlete. He's going to be good at no matter what he does and what he tries. He's one of those people, So I do think that there's, a world where West Virginia uses him and uses him a lot. Don't know if it'll be freshman year. We need Vincent Smith really to be the guy in freshman year wise, in my opinion, because it's just, number one, you can play corner as a true freshman easier than you can safety. And number two, we need more depth at corner. We need depth at safety too, but I think our corner room is in a little bit of a spot here. We'll go to break one more time. We'll come back and put a bow on this one. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. All right, guys, this one's going to be brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Indeed. Of course, we're talking about Indeed. Why wouldn't we? Right now, hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business moving forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Hiring isn't just about finding somebody willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business moving forward. And if you want a candidate who might match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Like I said, instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with candidates that are quality. Boost your job listings so people who fit your specific criteria will see you, like skills, certifications, and location. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, you're going to get your posts seen by candidates who actually fit that bill. And here's a stat that says it all. In the 1 minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed. That's a pretty big deal. According to the Indeed data, that's what the numbers are worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And of course, we can't go any further without mentioning our friends at Game Time. And right now with Game Time, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. Obviously, it's the NBA is in full swing, and we know that. And there's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment, getting tickets, though, well, that's the whole part that always hasn't been very simple, because that's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage back where it belongs for you with the fans. Love seeing all price up front stuff. No surprise fees at checkout. You get great last minute options too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices, and everybody knows that everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish when it comes to Game Time. So download the game. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off today. That's download the Game Time app, and remember, it's gametime.co, C-O, not gametime.com. All right, we back here in West Virginia, Locked On West Virginia, segment 3. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your support. And let's finish up here. A couple final thoughts here. Obviously, Damon Allen, Rayshon Reynolds, and Chams Diagne. I'm going to try to figure out how that's pronounced by the next time I say it. Actually, I could probably figure it out on the fly. So, let's see. It's pronounced, looks like Johnny. Okay. Johnny. Okay, that makes more sense. Or John. Okay. Chams, or let's see, Shams. Okay, so it's Shams John. Okay. Got it. So I've been saying it way wrong. Shams John. We'll figure that out down the road, I'm sure, a little bit better. But let's look at this roster really quick. I said I would do this really, earlier in the show. We're getting to it now. We're looking at different position groups on this team. We so far have looked at quarterbacks. We've looked at running backs. We've looked at wide receiver. We looked at offensive line. We looked at defensive line. You know what? Let's do linebackers today. Because we haven't done that. We haven't done tight ends, I don't think. I have to keep better track. Who knows if I may have already done linebackers for all I know, but we'll do linebackers because I think it's an interesting group. Is linebacker better or worse than it was last year? Well, I think that's a fair question to ask, because Chase Wilson, Reed Carrico were good players, not great players last year. We thought Chase Wilson was going to be a lot better than he became, but I think he just got worn down. There was very little depth, and those guys had to play a lot of snaps. That's the truth. But, I would definitely say that they weren't quite exactly what Zach Alley needed to do this defense. So if you look at what West Virginia added, obviously, you can't really look past the guys they added: Jason Hall Jr., Tyler Stolsky, Malachi Hood, Isaiah Patterson. So you add 4 linebackers from the portal. We talked about this before. Isaiah Patterson did not start on the UNLV team, but he was one of the best players on that team. He was their third linebacker. He was a freshman or redshirt freshman. And so, he was still learning. But last year, I think he ended up with 40 or 50 tackles, somewhere in that range. And as a redshirt freshman, that's really good. You can project that out to think that this is a guy that maybe gets you 75 tackles this year. So I do like his addition, and he may be a starter day one, or he'll be, maybe a third guy on this defense too. Malachi Hood should be one of your starters coming in from Illinois. He's another guy that really played well at Illinois. He's athletic. He can run a little bit, so you like him. Jason Hall was a backup at UConn, but he is a superb athlete. And I mean that, like, if you watch this film, you can see, like, okay, you're a really good athlete, but he doesn't have a whole lot of production, or I think he had 30 or 40 tackles as well, but he doesn't have a whole lot of production or experience either. Stolsky, a different story. He had a bunch of tackles, but he transferred from Minnesota down to FIU, and what a freaking year he had at FIU. This is a guy that can really, really go on the inside. He's not a guy you want to get matched up in coverage. You don't want him out there, in my opinion. You don't want him covering passes, and you want to keep him inside as a run guy. And I think he can do that well. Ashton Woods, obviously, is the first guy I'm going to mention, not a transfer. 6'3", 225, and is a superb athlete as well. I think he's going to be your other starter. Ashton Woods will be one of the starters, in my opinion. I really like him a lot. I think could be your best linebacker next year. We'll see what it ends up being. He didn't, he got hurt, unfortunately, halfway through the year last year, but I love what I saw from him. Ben Cutter is really come along, from his freshman year. He's played every year a lot, and I think he's ready to step in and make a big impact this year. And West Virginia did well to keep him, because there were people that tried to poach him. Now, if you want a wild card for somebody that I think could potentially sneak in and be your starter by, a couple games into the year, I think Cam Torber. I've talked about him multiple times. 6'3", 239. He's got a lot of Josiah Trotter in him. He can really run. As a matter of fact, I probably need to pull out the old tape again and show you guys some of these players that I believe in for next year. But Torber is definitely one of them, along with the other freshman, Cameron Dwyer. He's not very big, 6'1", 195, but he is a freaking athlete that can run as well. We'll see what happens with him. He'll probably end up redshirting. 6'1", 195. There's no way, unless he puts on 25 pounds, which is possible, I guess, or at least 15 or 20 pounds. But I do like Dwyer a lot. He's a true freshman. Cam Torber will be a redshirt freshman. I think he's ready to come and step in, finally make an impact. If you go look at his Hoover, Alabama footage, it's very good. So, I think overall, I think this linebacker room is actually better than last year. You relied so much on Cutter and Wilson last year that I felt like we were just so limited with what we could do with that group. Once they got worn down and hurt, beginning of the year, they were flying around sacking, making sacks. I mean, you go look at them versus Pitt, versus later in the year, it's like two different defenses almost. So they were refreshed when they could run sideline to sideline. They were much better. Once they got hurt, man, it was over. And that's because of the depth. We just didn't have any. So hopefully this year we can, we've got at least 4 or 5 guys that can roll in and out that are good. And there are others as well that you can talk about, but I don't know as much about them. So thank you guys for being here. I want to say the linebacker group is just a notch better. It could be worse, but it's going to depend on, obviously, Stolsky is a big part of that too. He is a good player, somebody said, but unfortunately, he is also, like I said, he's not a sideline to sideline kind of linebacker, in my opinion, from my tape study. Maybe I need to go watch more, but he's a guy that stays inside the box like the old school does, and he's a great inside the box run stuffing linebacker. And then pass coverage, he's just maybe average, maybe a little below average. I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of his pass coverage because he's always in the run. So, it's going to be interesting to see how West Virginia uses him and all that. But thanks for being here, guys. Don't forget about Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin. Please check him out next, as he does such an incredible job as always. I will also say the Everydayer Club. I know I mention it every day, but that's because we're the Everydayer listeners, right? So if you want to be part of that, it's ad-free audio. It is, what else is it? There's gear, merchandise, like Locked On merchandise, other merchandise. I have pulled the trigger finally on my own personal merchandise, so I'll be releasing that pretty soon, with just like certain catchphrases that I have, my logos, and just different things for fun. So maybe you guys will be interested in that. You know, we've got some funny ones on there that I'll definitely be having fun with. So the link is in the chat for the Every Dare Club. So hopefully you guys check that out. Like, share, subscribe right now before you leave. At least just move your finger over there or move your mouse clicker over and just hit that button for me real quick before you go. It would mean a lot. That's how I keep the lights on. And also leave a comment after the video. If you can do those two things, that's all I care about. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen. Have a great rest of your evening, West Virginians and everybody else. Hopefully you can dig out of the snow soon. And we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to cue those country roads. See you later.